Hey artists, today we're going to be making a tree silhouette with a beautiful fall sunset behind it. So we're going to be using all of our warm colors in the background to make some textured wind, and we're going to be making our black detailed tree to show just the silhouette with the sunset behind it. So follow along with me and I'll show you all the steps. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is get your piece of paper and make sure it's going up and down this way, not the long way, but the tall way, and grab your black marker. The first thing we're going to do is design our tree. So to start our tree trunk, we want it to go about halfway up in our page, and we draw two lines like that, and we're going to carefully color this in with our black marker, because what we're doing is like a silhouette, and that is where you can't really see the details of the tree, you just see the shadow of the tree, because there's all of this warm fall sunset light behind it. So we're going to go ahead and color that part in, and then the next thing we're going to do is add a little bit of the ground. So just kind of a lumpy bumpy to show that this is where the ground is. There we go. And we're going to color that in black also. You might put another piece of paper under this paper because, as you can see, I'm getting it on my desk. Okay. So we've got the trunk of the tree, we've got the ground, so the next thing we need to do are the branches. And we have lots of options there. We can start with one going up this way. We really want to fill this whole paper with these big outstretched branches. So don't make little tiny branches like this, or your tree is not going to be as interesting looking as if you were to take your branches all the way to the edge of your page. And so we're just going to have some different branches coming out everywhere. I've seen some cool things where some artists take the branch and they have it kind of do a little curly at the end. And that always looks really neat too. So we're going to have these big branches, some of these thicker branches in the middle where they're a little bit wider. And then you can make the other branches thinner, like the little twigs you might find in your yard. And you can do, like I said, some of these little swirly branches sure do look cool. So you might as well throw some of those on your picture too. And so we're just adding different branches to your tree. Lots and lots of branches to make it really interesting. If you don't have very many branches, it just doesn't look as neat. So we're just going to be adding different branches all over, making sure our tree has so many different sticks coming out, maybe some swirly ones, some straight ones, and just making our tree really detailed. Now I went in and just added lots and lots of little detail branches to make this tree really detailed with tons excuse me, and tons of branches. So I didn't really leave a lot of space. I made this tree pretty big. And I also thought that the straight trunk, it needed a little more character, so I made this side a little wider by adding an extra little chunk. So the background is going to be this glowing sunset for autumn. And to do that, we want to show like kind of swirling winds. And so to do that, we're going to take these markers, these warm color, kind of sunset color markers, and we're going to make, using dots, we're going to make some little swirling lines with dots, and then we're going to use the warm colored crayons to do the background to finish up the sunset. So the markers add a nice texture to what we're doing, so we're going to just kind of take them and we're just going to make some close together dots swirling along. So we kind of make a bumpy line swirling through here. You can use little dots. You could do some bigger dots. These all give some different texture to your picture and they look really cool. But I'm not putting them in a straight line. I'm trying to do some swirls, like that swirling fall wind that has taken all the leaves right off this tree. So we can do some bigger kind of dots going like this. Just swirling along. I can do the little dots in the background again, right through here. The yellow is definitely harder to see. Then I can take the orange and do some orange dots through here. And it just adds a cool texture and shows that swirling, blowing wind. And you don't have to worry about getting it on the black because it will not show up on top. So just kind of swirling these dots through to show that swirly wind. And we can do like the bigger dots that are almost like a little dash. Already it's starting to look like a pretty cool picture. And I can add a little bit more red up here. Maybe here. Anywhere you just see kind of a blank area that needs a little bit more of these texture swirls. And it's already starting to look pretty neat, but now we're gonna go ahead and take all of this white space and make a nice warm sunset. You have lots of colors you can use together. And so I'm just gonna start coloring in some of these areas with these warm colors. So I'm just gonna kind of, again, this swirling line, and then fill that in with a nice warm color. And it really makes your tree start to pop out as you're adding these warm winds behind your tree. So you can almost imagine the scene where the warm fall wind took those leaves right away. And then we're just going to add more layers of these warm colors. You can imagine the sun is setting right behind here and giving you this beautiful sunset behind your tree. And you're just going to kind of fill in these different spaces until your whole background is all full of warm colors. Whoop. And you can alternate. They don't have to be the same size as where you put the dots. So you could have just a pink swirl that comes through here that doesn't quite match up. And then you could add your red. And we're just filling in these warm colors behind our shadow of a tree. Oh wow, it's starting to really look neat. So I'm just going to keep switching up my colors as I fill in this blank space with this beautiful sunset. And you're going to go all the way to the top until you have no more blank white space and everything looks like this beautiful swirling sunset. Once you have that whole sunset colored in with your crayons, I think it just already has so much personality. It's such a cool picture. So if you just feel like you need to add a little something else, you can always add extra texture with your crayons. So you could go back with your crayons and just add some more little texture with short lines or dots across to show those windy areas. So I could kind of go like this with this one and just add a little bit more of that texture through the back. So we can just take this and make some more little polka dots, and just the extra texture looks really neat. So we're just layering the crayon up just to show a little bit more color on top of the first colors. So I can do some of these little dotted lines, little polka dotted lines, and it just adds a little extra something to your picture. And then once you feel like you've got enough texture and you've used all of your warm colors for your beautiful fall background and your melty sunset, then you will be finished with this picture. And I think this will be my last drop of color, and I just love it. I think I am 100% finished. So you can see here we've got all of those wonderful fall colors behind our silhouette tree, and when you're all done, I can't wait to see what you created. Happy coloring!